Now, the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Republican Congressman Mike McCaul of Texas, not very far from your district, Mr. Chairman. Thanks very much for coming in. What are you hearing? How is the community responding?
Well, it's very shocking. This is the worst school shooting in the history of the state of Texas. My heart goes out to the families and my prayers. It's a very shocking day for the state of Texas and the United States.
What are you learning about the suspect?
We don't know a whole lot about him. He's 17 years old. So you have children killing children. This is really horrific and very tragic. I know that he got the weapons from his father. Apparently, they were not locked up. A 17-year-old cannot purchase a firearm legally. And so we don't really know much about it. I think when we look through his communication devices and the internet trafficking, this didn't happen when you and I were growing up. You maybe get in fights in the schoolyard, but not this type of thing. And so the internet has changed a lot of things. You and I talked about terrorism a lot, radicalization, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. Now we're seeing it influence the culture and behavior of our young kids. I have 5 children of my own, and I can't imagine what the parents must be going through having their children killed like this.
Yeah, the governor, your governor, Governor Abbott, he said he didn't know whether or not the father allowed the son to get these weapons, or he just took them. Do you know that the father gave the guns to his son?
I don't know, but either way, he is responsible for either he gave them to him or he didn't lock them up properly, as any gun owner should do.
What was unique, pretty unique, and you correct me if I'm wrong, in this particular case, not only weapons, 2 weapons that this suspected shooter had, but also explosive devices. The governor saying CO2 device, a Molotov cocktail, and other devices there in the school, near the school, and perhaps elsewhere.
And this is why we think there were possibly 1 to 2 accomplices to this that may have either taught him how to do this. As your previous guest said, this is all over the internet. We dealt with this with the Boston bombing case, with the pressure cooker bombs, to the Austin bomber, who we think found this material online and built his own, IEDs. And so this is the age of the internet now.
And as far as you know, they're still searching for these explosive devices?
They're searching the home and the car as I speak for more explosive devices. They have to be very careful. They have a special team that goes in with robotics to remove these devices, and they found them at the schools.
Are they sophisticated or relatively crude?
It's unclear. Molotov cocktail is pretty a crude device, but then there's also some intimations that there could have been pressure cooker.
You're a former federal prosecutor. The fact that they captured the suspect alive, that he's talking right now, how important is that?
And I was a deputy attorney general for the state of Texas as well. It's huge because now they have, in most of these cases, as you know, they commit suicide at the scene or it's death by cop. In this case, we have the suspect alive who is talking. We'll know more if he has accomplices. That's very important. How did he learn how to do this? What were his motivations? And what would cause a 17-year-old child to do something like this?
Do you have any clues at all?
We really don't. It's kind of a clean slate, if you will. There's nothing really to indicate what happened to him, why he woke up this morning. But I do think the internet, in my judgment, had something to do with it. And the family, I'm sure there were signs and warning signs that could have been observed and stopped. As far as I know, the classmates and teachers didn't really notice anything.
Because if, in fact, he did have some explosive devices, which he clearly did have, and he may have had 1 or 2 accomplices, he didn't just wake up this morning and decide he's going to go kill students and a teacher, 10 people altogether, 9 students, 1 teacher, 10 others injured. There are several of them still in the hospital right now, at least 1 or 2 in critical condition. This has been planned for a while.
Very premeditated attack with accomplices, I think, to build bombs, to get the weapons, to wear a raincoat on a 90-degree sunny day. That is a red flag right there. And then pull this horrific, tragic shooting off. I think he thought about it for quite some time.
Any idea where he got the material for these explosive devices? We know where he got the 2 weapons.
We don't, and I think, as was mentioned before, these explosive devices will be sent by the FBI to Quantico for analysis and evaluation. I think we'll have a lot better understanding of them.
I assume ATF is looking at hardware stores elsewhere to see if they can get some clues. The FBI, ATF, federal authorities, state authorities, local authorities, they're all deeply involved. At this point, who's in charge?
At this point, it's a state charge. At this point, I know the FBI is investigating to Perhaps the U.S. Attorney can bring additional charges for building weapons of mass destruction. That's a federal crime. But right now he's charged with the ultimate penalty in the state of Texas, and that's a capital murder, which carries with it the death penalty. And as you know, the state of Texas, we take that seriously. He's going to be charged as an adult, which I think is very significant in this case.
Yeah, as you remember in Parkland in February, the school shooting, there were some calls that were made to the FBI, but they really didn't follow up. They made some serious mistakes at that point. Do you know if there were any calls, any warning signs given to the FBI or local police in advance of today's shooting?
At least at this point in time, we don't see that. And you're right. Parkland was a law enforcement failure. The FBI was notified in the hotline, didn't respond, didn't share the information. The sheriff was notified almost 40 times. The office didn't respond. And then the resource officers didn't respond to the shooting. They're either, in this case, the resources officers responded very quickly to the scene.
Your governor, Governor Abbott, said today, and I'm going to read to you what he said. He said, quote, "We need to do more than just pray for the victims and their families. It's time in Texas that we take action to step up and make sure this tragedy is never repeated ever again in the history of the state of Texas." All right, so you're a member of Congress. Congress has done nothing in the aftermath of all these other school shootings, including plenty of them this year. What, if anything, do you want to do?
Well, one thing I did last week, and now it looks, sort of timely, was I introduced the Securing Our Schools Act, which provides authorities to the Department of Homeland Security to come up with a strategy to secure our schools. Right now, they're soft targets. We need to harden these soft targets to protect our children. It provides grant funding to localities to look at training exercises, active shooter training exercises, IEDs, canines. How can we do a better job protecting our schools locally? I hope to get this passed rather soon. I think with this event happening today, it really cries out for my legislation to move forward and move forward quickly.
You have some Democratic co-sponsors?
Yes, we do.
All right. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. Mike McCaul is the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. Good luck to all the people in that district in Texas, but throughout Texas, throughout the country, who are so distraught over what happened today.
Thanks, Wolf.
Our hearts go out to all of them. There's more breaking